Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Rich Perez welcoming you back, or welcoming you straight up into the first ever nightcap of your weekly rundown. Joined in with me, as always, is my brother from another, my co-host all the way from the 305, Kayson Davis. How you doing, Kay?
I'm doing good, man. It's a little late trying to stay up, but we're here.
We're here, man. The first ever nightcap, taking a little book out of Shannon Sharp and Ocho's little playbook or whatever. But we here, man. We're doing it. It feels right. It feels good because Saturday is go time. It is the 2025 NBA playoffs. We've gotten into the play-in already. We've just got to finish up with our 8 seed matchup tomorrow. Miami Heat versus the Atlanta Hawks, and the Dallas Mavericks versus the Memphis Grizzlies. We talked about it a little bit before we get into our playoff preview. Let's just quick little recap. You had the Miami Heat take out the Chicago Bulls, to keep their season alive. Kay, I know you said you weren't a little surprised. For me, I was a little surprised. Not a lot of faith in the Heat, just based off of what I was seeing in the regular season. A Heat team that really couldn't close games out all year. One of the slowest paced teams in the league versus the Chicago Bulls, who, while they do give up a ton of points, they're one of the fastest paced teams in the league, one of the best second half teams in the league. But the Heat came out there, they did business. Tyler Hero went out and balled. I believe he shot. Well, it was like at the going into the second half, he was like 8 for 8. Ended up finishing with 38 points. Mitchell was all over. Kobe White, Bam Adebayo doing his thing, and the Miami Heat, they go ahead and survive. Kay, what were you thinking going into that game, and how'd you feel coming out of it?
Like kind of like I was just telling you before we got on here, it seemed like a typical Miami Heat game to me. Um, you were kind of reading me some stats and kind of just how the regular season went, and like I told you, I think it's a typical Heat game. Once you get to the playoffs with those guys, you can throw all that other stuff out. What you've seen from the last couple years since they've been in the play-in. They maybe I don't want to say not take the regular season as serious, but they just I guess know how to turn that switch on when it's time for one of these games. So I was not surprised. Maybe a little surprised that it was like a blowout, but really not surprised at all that they won the game. Before I was saying like this is a typical Heat game for them to win. If the game was at home, I would have been a little more worried for them, but the knowing them and the whole Heat culture thing, backs against the wall on the road, you got to win the game. I am not surprised at all that they did what they did.
On the other side of things, you had Orlando just completely demolish the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, can't say either of us are a little too surprised at that. Trey Young's, they've got some talent over there, but not compared to what they're doing in Orlando. Bankero doing his thing. Wagner was in there doing his thing. I mean, even with some of the injuries that they've been dealing with, no Jalen Suggs, the other Wagner brothers out, but Cole Anthony, believe led the team in scoring. And they're your 7 seed, gonna take on the Boston Celtics. Any I don't think any surprises, but any takeaways there.
Uh, not really. I thought the Magic were the more talented team there. Obviously, they're mostly healthy. They're still missing a few guys, but you got Paulo, you got Franz back. I thought, and they're home, so I thought they'll kind of take that one the way it happened. The Hawks, while they have maybe overachieved this year. I think when you go into the season, you think it was yeah, I mean you still have Trey Young, but then you got the number one pick and things like that. And I'm not sure if Clint Capella's playing, but Jalen Johnson, who's been one of their bright stars and one of their bright players, he's out. So you think about all the changes they had and coming off the season they had last year to get the number one pick, they might be overachieving a little bit, but I just think they're just undermatched, kind of, for any team that has just a little more talent. So we'll see what happens for them in the summer, but it kind of went the way I expected.
The Dallas Mavericks beat the Sacramento Kings 120 to 106. Complete demolishment. I don't think even having some of the guys that Sacramento has over there. AD's back for the Mavericks. As much injuries as they dealt with, they've still got a few of their core guys over there. I wasn't really too surprised with it. They came through, they handled business. AD showed up like he was supposed to. The matchup for me that I mean in this playing, and I think I speak for everybody, whether you're watching or even for UK, Memphis versus Golden State. They've developed a little bit of a rivalry these last couple years, whether it's the play-in or the playoffs. It was a fun matchup. They were down by 20 points early on and found a way to came back. Ja had a scare, and they were able to keep things afloat even with Ja out. Desmond Bain made some big time threes, and unfortunately, you're down 3 points with a chance to inbound and score, and the 5 second violation to not get in as the seventh seed. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I really wanted the Memphis Grizz to. I'm not mad at the fact we're gonna get Golden State versus Houston, but I kind of wanted to see Memphis versus Houston just to see that Jalen Green matchup. But regardless, we still get a great matchup. But any takeaways from that Golden State Memphis matchup?
It kind of played out the way I expected it. I kind of expected Golden State to come away with it. Jimmy Butler looked good. Obviously, going back to the Heat thing, this is around the time where he'll turn it up a little bit too. So I'm actually more intrigued about Houston versus Golden State. I think that's going to be an interesting matchup. Obviously, with Houston's defense and then Golden State's offense. So it's the Grizzlies haven't been playing well the end of the season. Obviously, they fired their coach, and that's like another story for another day. So they're trying to get things back on track. But it is a rivalry, and the Grizzlies did put up a fight, but it kind of turned out the way that I expected it to. I know the Warriors knew that they needed that rest, and they didn't want to
Big
go and
time.
have to play Friday and then play again your first round series on Sunday. So they were looking to handle business, and the Grizzlies we kind of don't know what's going on with them. I think if you looked like a month ago, they were the 2 seed. Now they're fighting for the 8th seed. So. Uh, they'll probably be home after this first round, and then obviously they fired their coach, so we'll see what happens with them.
So before we get into the playoff action, we've got two more games that are kicking off tomorrow. It'll be the Miami Heat versus the Atlanta Hawks, and then the Dallas Mavericks versus the Memphis Grizzlies. Let's start off with the Miami Heat and the Atlanta Hawks. Look, man, I've said all I've said about my worries about Miami, everything that I've seen through them all year that makes me worried about them. At the end of the day, Eric Spoelstra is still one of the best coaches, if not the best coach in the association. And if Miami comes to play the way that they played against Chicago, if Mitchell can do the same defensive job on Trey Young that he was able to do on Kobe White, the Miami Heat should come away with this win and face the Cleveland Cavaliers as the 8th seed in the East.
While I actually rather see a Cavs Heat matchup because I think that the Heat have a better chance than the Hawks do. I'm actually kind of 50-50 on this game. Obviously, the game's in Atlanta. Uh, I think the crowd's going to be into it, so I think it's kind of 50-50 depending on how it goes. I think if I had to pick, it would probably be the Heat, but I think the Hawks, I can see them coming out. They have a solid crowd. I can see them coming out with the crowd out there and getting everybody hype and maybe feeding off the crowd to kind of maybe lead them to a win. So I'm kind of 50-50 on it, but I would going back to what I said about the last game, it's a typical Heat thing to do to win this game. And then I think they take their chances against the Cavs. And I think while the Cavs have had an impressive season, I still don't think that they're as scary as maybe
Oh
Boston. So I
man,
think
oh man.
I think it'd be a puncher's chance.
All right, all right. Our night matchup tomorrow night will be the Dallas Mavericks versus the Memphis Grizzlies. We didn't get to speak to you guys when they made that crazy trade, but the Mavericks need to win this game, right? If you're gonna save any face for what happened of making that trade, you know, you got to get into the playoffs. I don't think that they're gonna get into the playoffs. I'm picking Memphis to win this game. Even with Ja not being 100%. I don't know, man. I think I just like Memphis a little more. The only thing that scares me about Memphis is can Edie and Jaron Jackson Jr. stay on the floor for all 48 minutes? If they can stay out of foul trouble, as great as Anthony Davis is, and whatnot, I just don't think even with Clay, Clay. I don't know, man. I just don't see it. I don't see it. Clay's taking a step back from the player that we known him to be the last few years. It is what it is. That's what happens with Father Time. And yeah, I'm going with Memphis in this one. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout though, but I am going with Memphis in that game.
Clay did play well along with Anthony Davis in that play-in matchup against the Sacramento Kings. Yeah, I think what helped the Mavs so far is their defense, and that's kind of what Nico Harrison has been banking on. Obviously, like you said, we didn't get into the trade, but his whole thing is that he's building a great defense, and obviously with AD back and Gafford and Lively, the defense looked good. But I still don't think it's enough to beat the Grizzlies. Obviously, with the Grizzlies being home, I think if you look at the difference, the Grizzlies are like 10-9 games better than them. So it's not really close. I think the Grizzlies are just obviously the better team. While they have been falling and maybe they're not as good as the teams above them that they were kind of tied with in the record, I think there's just a big gap between like 8 and 10 this year. So I think they're just better than them. And obviously the Mavs are dealing with injuries and stuff, so there's not much you can do about that. So Grizzlies will be at home fighting to get that eighth seed. So I'm gonna go with the Grizzlies.
Yeah, make sure they playing that whoop that trick when it's going down. Chat. I see a couple of you guys in here. Tony's in here already repping for the Knicks. Love it, love it. What do you guys want us to start with? We going with the East or we going with the West? If I don't hear anybody, I'm gonna ask Kayson. But yeah.
Uh, that's actually a good question. Let's start off in the East.
Since Tone brought off the Knicks, you want to go off with the Knicks first, or should we save the Knicks?
We can start off with the Knicks. Let's go with the Knicks.
Say go New York, go New York, go. Go New York, go New York, go. Say go New York, go New York, go. Go New York, go New York, go.
Go New York, go New York, go. Man, what can we say about the Knicks? The Knicks are 0-10 against the best teams in the NBA. The Detroit Pistons, they're bringing the bad boy era back. The Pistons are, man, I mean, Bickerstaff going from getting fired by the Cavs to getting hired by Detroit is able to take he rebuilds the Cavs, and now he's done another successful rebuild job with the Detroit Pistons. It sucks that they lose Ivy for the year, but they've found a way to make do. To me, Cade Cunningham is one of the best point guards in the league. I believe he's going to be top five point guard in the league within the next 3-4 years. And they are a tough out, man. They are a tough out. The Knicks scare me a little bit. We all watched the game last week, when they played the Pistons. To see that little playoff preview, and they kind of gave that one away, man. Kind of gave that one away. So I don't know. I do think it's going to be a fun series. If you're a Knicks fan and you think that this is going to be a cakewalk, I'm going to tell you right now that you are sadly mistaken. Um, I'm gonna pick the Knicks to win this in 6 games, though. I do think talent is the Pistons are still very young, and talent wins in this league. We could talk about coaching all we want, and I think at some point in these playoffs, that's going to be a factor for the Knicks more than likely in the second round. But they're just the Pistons to me are just too young, and the Knicks are just too talented to go out in the first round. So I'm gonna go with the Knicks in 6 games in this series.
I'm gonna go with the Knicks, but I'm gonna go with the Knicks in seven. As soon as this matchup got set, a lot of people have been saying their worries for the Knicks on Twitter and stuff. So I'm not as worried about the Knicks. Obviously, I said seven, so I expect it to be a long series, but I expect them to win. Only reason why I expect it to be a long series, obviously, Detroit hasn't been in the playoffs in a couple years. They had some rough years, so I think they'll hold down their home court advantage. You already see that they're pulling out some tricks and not trying to allow people from New York to buy tickets in Detroit. So they're trying to have that home crowd ready for them. And then I just think like they're young, they're athletic. I think that's going to hurt the Knicks a little bit, especially at those games in Detroit when they're getting up and down, getting the crowd involved. And then I think the Knicks have some problems. Obviously, on defense, you're gonna put Michael Bridges probably on Cade, but I think him being 6'6" and being that point guard causes some matchup problems for Brunson because he's probably going to guard Brunson and things like that. So for the whole series, Brunson's going to have someone at least like 6'5" and up on him for the whole time, which can cause some issues and some problems into their offense. So I think the Knicks will hold it down in the Garden. Obviously, playing in the Garden during the regular season can be tough, but it's really tough in the playoffs. So I think this is one of those things where like styles kind of make fights, and then the styles are kind of going to change a little bit while each one of them are on their home court, and they're going to feed onto the crowd, and it's going to go seven.
Chuck, guaranteed. Drew Marshall. Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Yo, I know that the Pistons are doing this whole thing about restricting tickets and whatnot. They said you got to have an area code. You know how they say Knicks fans travel and whatnot? Look, man, we are testaments to this, right? The cost of living in New York is very high. So New Yorkers, they scatter around the country. There's no way that there are not going to be Knicks fans in Detroit for this game. There's people that live in Michigan and what other area codes they said that they were going to allow to buy. And not for nothing, even if you do restrict the tickets, they're going to go on, on the second market. Like, I already seen like screenshots of them hitting the second market. So there's going to be Knicks fans. I was surprised. Remember last year when we talked about them and the Sixers? I was surprised that they were able to take over Philly just because of, I've always known Philly to be a strong sports city. So to see New York take over like that was a little shocking. And I feel the same way about Detroit, but I've learned my lesson. So I don't know how, but some way, somehow the Knicks are going to be able to take over that building. And look, Detroit, don't don't let those Knicks fans get loud because they will take over your building.
Yeah, but I think they're trying to give those fans a little harder of a time to get in, just to give them some hurdles to jump over. Maybe it convinces a few of them not to go, or the ones that do go, maybe just tired because you had to jump over all these hurdles. So if you can kind of stick it to them just a little bit, I think that's kind of what they're going for. But I think you got to expect that Knicks fans will be in there regardless.
Let's move on to another matchup in the East. This one I think is going to be a fun series too. I'm not going to lie to you. Milwaukee and the Indiana Pacers. Now, I don't know if you saw Dame is cleared. He's not going to play game 1, but he did get cleared. So at some point in the series, I do expect to see Dame back.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be tough for him though, because to get cleared a couple days before the playoffs and then get thrown right back in kind of with no warm up right into the playoffs. So we'll see how it goes for them. Obviously, they're gonna probably need him in the series. I think what will help them or hurt them is how well these first two games go. Obviously, if you can steal one in Indiana, it buys him a little more rest. Maybe you have him back for game four. You go down 0-2, things seem a little bit more desperate. You try to force him back in there. What could also help them is kind of how the NBA schedules out the games. I think they play Saturday. So the next game would be maybe Monday or Tuesday, depending on how it schedules. And then if it does stretch, game three might not be until like Thursday. So they might play Monday and then not play Thursday. So depending on how the scheduling works out and stuff, how the first couple games go, they can buy him some more time, but I think they need to buy him as much time to kind of get back in condition and then put him out there. But I think they're going to need him. Obviously, no Chris Middleton. You see what Chris Middleton did against the Pacers last year. No Chris Middleton. You decide to go with Kyle Kuzma this time. So we'll see how that works out for them. So I think you're gonna need Dame out there. But Giannis has been on a tear at the end of the season. But this is like a little rivalry going on, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, they do lose Chris Middleton, and they opted for Kyle Kuzma. But even with Dame out, man, I think this is gonna be a strong series. I actually think the series goes 7 games, man. It's not nothing to say. Like I think everybody at this point, if you've been watching, the games throughout the year, Indiana is a very tough team this year. They were on the Knicks' heels late for that third seed. Um, and someone that they didn't have last year because of injury was Benedict Mathurin. Benedict Mathurin is a dog, and he's back with them doing his thing. Somebody that you didn't bring up who's been balling since he got traded to Milwaukee, Kevin Porter Jr. Kevin Porter Jr. I think is going to be a big factor in this series for Milwaukee, regardless of if you got Dame or not. I think this is going to go seven. I really think that this series is going to go seven. I don't know who to pick though, man, because I'm a little worried about the rust of Dame coming back too. I'm gonna pick Milwaukee. I'm not that confident in it, but I'll tell you what, man, we're gonna be having some conversations if Milwaukee goes out in the first round about Giannis's future.
Yeah, I think it's tough because if you look at last year's playoffs, Dame didn't. I mean, Giannis didn't play, and then this year, Dame might not play. If he does come back, it's not gonna be like a full thing. So you're at the thing where it's like we kind of really didn't get to see these two together in the playoffs. So that's gonna be a thing. But yeah, obviously, if they lose, uh, who knows? I'm gonna go. I thought you were gonna go Indiana, so I was gonna say Bucks and six. So, but
Well, I kind
word.
of did think about going Indiana though, because you know who the Bucks coach is.
uh, I'm gonna stay with it. I'm gonna stay Bucks and six. Word to Brandon Jennings. So I'm gonna go Bucks and six. I think Giannis is gonna have to be the best player in this series. Obviously, again, styles make fights. The Pacers want to get up and down, not to play too much defense. So can the Bucks, especially without Dame, have enough scoring? Can Kuzma, could all those other guys, Brook Lopez, and all those guys step up? And really, to me, this is gonna come down to like down the stretch, can you get a stop? Obviously, the Bucks have been known for their defense over the years. After trading Drew Holiday, it hasn't really been the same. Can they get a stop when they need to? Uh, Obviously, last year during the playoffs, the Pacers got the stops when they needed to. They wasn't really known as a defensive team. You know they're going to get up and down on offense. They just have to keep it close, and when things get a little tight, be able to get those stops. And I think they'll do it. I think they still one of these first ones on the road without Dame, buy Dame a little time, and then Dame comes back, makes the difference in Bucks and six.
All right, I'm not mad at it. Let's go ahead and move over to the West a little bit. Give the East a little breather. Um, let's go an easy one, man. Oklahoma City. I don't care who comes out of that matchup with the Mavericks and the Kings. Thunder and four. Sweep. Clean sweep. I don't have nothing else to say about it.
I underestimated the Thunder a little bit last year, obviously being a young one seed. They went up against the Pelicans and they were able to sweep them. I think this Grizzlies team is maybe a little more battle tested.
My
Obviously, they
bad.
went.
My bad. I'm sorry to cut you off. My bad. I completely forgot that the Grizzlies was the other matchup. If it's the Grizzlies, then give me Thunder in six, five.
Yeah, I'm actually on the fence 5 or 6 too. Uh, Yeah, give me the Thunder. Give me the Thunder in six. I think Ja obviously being a superstar, I think he can get you one. And I think the combination of him, Bane, that Memphis crowd, Jaren Jackson Jr. get you another one. Uh, I wouldn't even be surprised if they still went on the road and then the Thunder come back and maybe uh, split there and then win the last two. So I'm gonna go Thunder in six. If it's the Grizzlies, if it's the Mavs, I don't know. You can have Anthony Davis, Baron Davis, Kayson Davis, Th- Thunder in three.
Oh man, I love it. Um, Lakers Timberwolves, man. I'm not even gonna go there where I was just thinking. But hey, man, give me the Lakers in six. You know what my problem with as great as Ant Man is? I cannot believe in a team. No disrespect. I cannot believe in a team that has Julius Randle and um and Rudy Gobert as key cogs over there. I just can't, man. The Randall handled, when he was a Nick, I was saying it, and I'm saying it now. That he's a ball stopper. He's been a reason to me why they haven't had more success. And we already know what the deal is with Rudy Gobert come playoff time. He's gonna fold. So as you know, as great as Ant Man is, he's gonna be able to catapult them to 2 games, I believe. But Lakers, who I'm not gonna pick to win the chip because I think that they're still a center away. They're gonna get it done. Luca's gonna do his thing. Bron's gonna do his thing. Might even see a little bit of Bronny at some point in these series, but give me the Lakers in 6.
I am not confident in this Wolves team going into this matchup. I think it's a bad matchup. I think this is really going to come down to did they learn anything from playing Luca last year in the conference finals? Uh, and I don't really know what their best option is. Actually, I think I do have know what their best option is. I would go small and play Randall and Nas Reed a lot more. Rudy Gobert is probably going to get played off the court. You're either going to have to double or you're going to switch. You saw what happened at the end of game two last year when he decided to switch. So that's kind of not really an option, but who knows? Obviously, you can double, but then it creates a whole bunch of other problems. So I would play a lot of Nas Reed and Julius Randle together. Obviously, it gives you more offense, but I think defensively it'd be better for you. You could probably switch a little more and cause a little more havoc. With all that being said, I am not confident in the Wolves at all. I don't think they've looked good since that cat trade. I got the Lakers in 5.
To me, they were a better team when they had Cat. If Cat's on this Wolves team, then we could have a different conversation. But I'm with you. I just can't be confident in them with the specific pieces that they got, man. So
And it's probably just a bad matchup. Like it's tough. Obviously having Luca and Braun, it was tough for them when they had Cat and it was Luca and Kyrie. It's Luca, LeBron, and then what are they gonna do with Rudy Gobert down there? Obviously, Luca has given him fits over the years, so just a bad matchup, I think. And then the Wolves haven't played great. I mean, they've obviously got better throughout the year or whatever the case may be. I'm just not convinced.
let's go ahead and move back to the East. We've got our 1-8 and then our 2-7. I believe we both picked the Heat to come out of the play-in, correct?
I said I was like 50-50. I think if it's the
Oh, okay,
Hawks,
yeah,
it's
maybe.
I think if it's the Hawks, it's a sweep. I think if it is the Heat, I am I'm
It's
on
the
the verge
same.
of saying we have enough. and and he in 6. I'm not convinced about the Cavs, but I will as the one seed I'll give him the respect and probably say Cavs in 6. Cavs in
I'm
7.
not, man. I
Cavs in
remember
7.
I've spoken to you about it. I've spoken to Mike about it. Like everybody keeps comparing this Cavs team to that Atlanta Hawks team from 2015. And I was with everybody, for a long time, and then I just kept watching more of the Cavs, and they just kept winning. They won almost 70 games. Like you you don't you not scrubs don't do that. Like posers don't do that. And y'all know
True.
I love it. You guys know I love the Heat. I love my Miami Heat. But I'm just not gonna let people disrespect this Cavs teams like that. That doesn't mean I'm gonna pick them to win the championship. But unfortunately, I am gonna have to pick them to beat the Heat. If the Heat can keep playing like what they looked like the other night, though, give me the Cavs in 6. I think that they'll make it respectable. Give me the Cavs in 6.
Yeah, I mean, you get a new coach. Obviously, Kenny Atkinson has shown what he can do with talent, without talent. If you take it back to those Brooklyn Nets days, you get him here with some talent. You see what he's able to do. Long Island legend, by the way. So shout out to Kenny Atkinson. But
Straight up.
I just look at the roster. I mean, you make the trade for DeAndre Hunter, but this is the same team, the same roster that went 7 with the Magic last year. So I'm just not 100% convinced.
It's, look, I tell everybody all the time, coaching still matters in this league, man. It's one of the biggest things why I said what I said about the Knicks last month. When we brought the time they were 0-8 against the best teams in the league. And we had the whole thing about we had Stat on here. We talked everything about Tibbs as a coach. Last year, JD Bickerstaff, we love him. He's doing a great job in Detroit. He was the Cavs coach. Now Kenny Atkinson is the Cavs coach, and they've definitely jumped a level under Kenny Atkinson. I mean, you look at it like how are you going to answer some of the problems that you would face if you're the Heat when it comes to the Cavs? What are you going to do with Donovan Mitchell? What are you going to do
We got Davion Mitchell, lockdown defender.
okay? So there's going to be some Gary Payton, Michael Jordan. We slow him down a little bit
Uh, what they called the
because he's
other day,
not
off
stopping
night.
him.
No one
He's
really
not
stops
stopping him.
anybody in this league. You just got to make it tough for him. You're not really stopping nobody. You make it tough for him.
Cavs at 1.5. That's funny.
I think the Heat will have to decide who Davion guards because you can try to slow down Garland, you can try to slow down Mitchell. Obviously, Tyler Hero has to play. I mean, he was playing good defense last game against the Bulls. Can he keep it up? Uh, but I just, if I'm the Heat, I'm like, I'm not saying I'm sleeping great, but I'm sleeping very, very well. You give me that matchup.
I just across the board. Um, what are you doing with Evan Mobley? I love Khalil Ware, but
Uh,
he is a rookie.
Bam, Bam will guard him.
Okay. Tell me, we already spoke. You're gonna have to pick your poison between Garland and Donovan Mitchell. DeAndre Hunter. The trade was great. Who else we got on the roster here? Injury report.
Yeah, bro, you ain't say one name that scared me yet. Come on. Like, Hunter, put a Highsmith on him. We're good. Uh, Mitchell, obviously Mitchell's Mitchell. We'll put Mitchell on Mitchell, and then Garland gets other people involved. We'll figure it out from there.
Yeah, Jared. Even like okay, you want to
Jared
put Bam on
Allen,
Evan Mobley? Like Jared Allen's
Khalil
not back
Ware,
there too.
Khalil Ware,
Khalil
Khalil
Ware's a
Ware,
rookie though. I love Khalil Ware, but at some
Khalil
point you're
Ware,
gonna see him as a rookie.
Khalil, bro. You haven't said one name that scares me yet.
Man,
Uh,
Tristan Thompson. All right, now I'm joking.
oh,
Um,
jeez.
no, come on, man. At some point, like we love Khalil Ware. We all love Khalil Ware. He's got a bright future ahead of him. But you got four. You got. I just gave you four. Four. These are their four big names. That's I'll give it to him as six. I'll give it to him as six. But
Listen. I'm just saying, and I speak for myself here. My thoughts are my own. I'm just sleeping well at night if that's the matchup. That's just me. Hey, I'm on the verge of saying we have enough, but I'm just sleeping well at night if that's the matchup. That's all.
gun to your head, you're picking Cavs in six.
That's debatable. Yeah, it depends on how big the gun is.
All right. I don't know. I feel like you picking Cavs at six, low key. You want to say
Uh,
Heat though.
I'll give the Cavs a 7.
All right, I got Cavs at six. Boston, Orlando, give me the Celtics in five. Orlando, same thing I said about Detroit.
Oh,
Too
see,
young, too young.
no. My problem with Orlando in this series is can they keep up offensively? Boston's
You
going to
think
get
this
up
is
a whole
sweep?
bunch of. No. But I'm just saying, can they keep up offensively? I think Boston's going to get up a whole bunch of threes. I mean, the Magic's defense fell off a little bit, but they had great defense to start this year and last year. You're going to miss Suggs in the series. I guess they've missed him since he's been out. He's out hanging out with Haley Van Lith every day. So you're
Crazy.
gonna.
They let Haley Van Lith go to Chicago, by the way. Another story for another day.
I think that's gonna be another series where it's like defense versus offense. Can the Magic score enough? It's been there, maybe the issue all year. Paulo and Franz are gonna get their numbers, but who else can step up to help them?
Cole Anthony.
He did it the other day. I'm gonna go Magic I mean Magic. I'm gonna go Celtics in 6. I'm gonna give the
Six.
Magic 2. Yes, I'm with the
All right,
Magic too.
I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it.
The Magic have been the only team that's played Boston very well the last 2 years. I think they in the last 2 years, I think I want to say they only lost to Boston like once or twice. They have a very good record. Don't quote me on that, but they have a very good record against the Celtics. Obviously, none of that matters when it comes to the playoffs. I actually rather like lose to you during the regular season because like sometimes it's very hard to keep beating the team 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. So eventually you figure something out. So obviously none of that really matters. But my point there is that they do match up very well with that team, and I'll give them 2 games.
Okay, I think you're kind of talking me into this though. Because I agree. Like Orlando's definitely been a scrappy team throughout the year. They'd be a better seed if they weren't dealing with the injuries that they were dealing with too. Like they lost Paolo for an extended period of time. They lost Franz for an extended period of time, and then obviously you already mentioned Suggs has been out for a while now. They're not gonna see him for the rest of the year. But yeah. All right, then I'm with you. Then I guess I'll go Celtics in six. Isn't Jalen Brown dealing with some type of an injury right now too?
I think so. I can't remember exactly. Don't quote me. I think he had to get like an injection in his knee or something to kind of get him ready for the playoffs. So, uh, yeah. I mean, obviously, again, the playoffs are a little different, but I'm gonna give the Magic 2. I think they win the first two in Orlando. Uh, and then obviously the Celtics team is not the Celtics team from last year. You know, people have the playoff runs in the next year. You get tested a little more. So I think Boston will be tested a little more coming out of this Eastern Conference.
I agree. I agree. Which one do you want to go with? Because I think these are the two more fun matchups in the playoffs to me. Denver Clippers or Golden State Rockets.
Ooh, let's start off. Let's go Denver Clippers.
All right. Well, I got a lot to say about this one because, for some reason, Denver decided to fire their head coach and their GM a week before the playoffs began. This is a guy that got you to the mountaintop, helped lead you to the championship. We heard all the stories. There was some friction between coach and GM throughout the season. Thoughts about, Mike Malone wanted to use Russell Westbrook a lot more. GM didn't agree with that. And then on the Clippers side of things, Kawhi came back, and the Clippers have had the second best record in the league since Kawhi's been back from injury, and they look great. You know, um, there's a lot to like over there. I mean, what's the center's name over there? The one that got traded from the Lakers. I'm drawing a
Zubac.
blank on his name. Zubac has jumped levels this year. He looks like a key piece for them this year. Harden's gonna be Harden, and Kawhi's been doing his thing. And obviously, Denver's got all the pieces there. They've got the championship medal. They've got the Joker. Jamal Murray's there. Russell Westbrook coming off the bench. Although, if you ask me, he should be starting. But again, probably not gonna happen. Um, this is another series to me that has the making of going 7 games, bro.
Yeah, I actually don't even have an answer for this series. Kawhi's looked great the end of the season, man. I think I mean Harden's ended the season very well too, but I think if Kawhi is going to be here and be healthy, that makes the series a lot more intriguing. Obviously, that last game against Golden State, he played really well. Uh, I think this series to me comes down to health. Who's going to be able to stay more healthy? Is it Jamal Murray or Kawhi Leonard? I mean, Kawhi Leonard has gotten to some playoff series the last couple of years, and unfortunately, some injuries have happened to him, and he wasn't been able to finish him. I think this year, maybe more than any year, if that happens to them, they're not going to be able to withstand it. At least last year they had Paul George, and I mean they still lost in the first round. But you had like Paul George, you had Harden, you had Westbrook, you had some people to kind of help you withstand it. I think this year, I mean Norman Powell's played out of his mind. Zubac has been playing well, but he's gonna be tested offensively and defensively. Uh, So I think if and then for the Nuggets, can Jamal Murray stay healthy? Obviously you have Westbrook there as a backup, but that 1-2 punch of Murray and Joker is what got you NBA championship, and they're gonna need that throughout the playoffs. So it's hard for me to pick here. Obviously, it's a 4 or 5 matchup, so it's kind of a pick 'em. It's just who stays healthy. Is it Murray or is it Leonard? And I think that is gonna make the difference. Whoever's more healthy wins this series. And if I had to pick right now, I guess gun to my head again, I'm gonna go Nuggets in 7. I think Joker will put up crazy stats throughout this series like he's done all year and be able to withstand uh, what the Clippers throw at him.
Yeah, every year I pick the Clippers to do something, and then exactly what you said happens. Somebody gets hurt. You know, like last year, Kawhi. It was like they had the super team: Kawhi, Russell Westbrook, Paul George, James Harden, and then to go into the matchup with Phoenix, it was just I think it was just Kawhi and Russ, right? Like Paul George wasn't ready to play, and James Harden was dealing with something too. And then Kawhi goes nuts in game one. They win, and then we find out that he tore his ACL, something with his knee.
I think it's
Ha-
meniscus. I think it's
right, and he misses the rest of the series, and it's just Russell Westbrook and the crew, and they they obviously can't get it done against Phoenix. Um, man, the Clippers fan base has gone through so much like over the last 30, 40 years. I always pick them and hope, maybe hopefully I can get over this like Stephen A finals curse that I've been going through with the Clippers the last couple of years. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to pick the Clippers to win this series. I'm going to pick them to win it in 7. This is probably the most fun matchup in the first round. There's a lot of fun matchups in the first round, but when you think of like the players on the court, the storylines, this is the one. Yeah, it's not easy. Definitely not easy for me to make the pick, but something tells me that they'll finally get over the hump. They've been through so much already. They got the new building, Ballmer's there, Kawhi's finally healthy. Hopefully, he can stay that way. Obviously we know people have forgotten just how good Kawhi Leonard is because of the injuries. Like we weren't comparing him to Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan once upon a time. So, if he's there, even with the way I feel about James Harden, and then the coaching factor too. I don't know too much about Denver's interim coach right now, but I know a lot about Ty Lue. So if Ty Lue's got all his soldiers ready, give me the Clippers in 7.
yeah, like I said, it's a pick 'em series. I think obviously it's gonna come down to matchups and kind of what you do in matchups. I'm thinking about it. If you're the Nuggets, who do you put on Kawhi? Who guards Harden? And obviously, if you're the Clippers, obviously you're gonna put Zubac on Jokic. But what seemed to have to work against Jokic is when there's someone on that back line, you don't just guard them 1-on-1. So uh, I think you might have to put Aaron Gordon on Kawhi and see how that goes. Kind of has the foot speed to keep up, and then has a little strength with them. So, but then you have your starting Brown and Murray in the backcourt. One of them has to guard Harden. I think you might get like what you were saying. You might consider starting Westbrook and let him guard Harden. Obviously, those guys know each other very well, played together, played against each other 1,000 times. That might just be something that might work there because I think we're leaving it up to Brown and Murray to guard Harden might not be the best option.
I'll tell you what, mark my words, if the Nuggets start to feel the heat a little bit, if they get down in this series where it's like do or die, I expect that move to be made. And I do think it'll help them out.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be interesting because the first 2 games are always interesting in the series because as much as you want home court advantage, I'm starting to think I'd rather not have home court advantage because like you go into game 1 and game 2, the pressure's on them. They lose one of those games and like you're golden. Think about how the Mavs made it to the finals last year. They always in the Western Conference they split one. They had no home court advantage throughout the whole playoff run, but they always split one that first game. I mean, that first two games on the road. And it's just easier. I think you go into home court, you're so worried about defending home court, winning game one and game two. It's a lot more pressure. I think I'd rather go into this pressure free. We're on the road, backs against the wall. Kind of like the Heat mentality. Yeah, it's just good. Might as well just I like playing with house money at that point, and put some pressure on them and try to go get game one or game two. But that's a side note.
And some real world warrior stuff. Golden State Warriors, Houston Rockets, man. I moved to Texas in 2021, and the Rockets were a team that I got to watch go through their rebuild. They started it with Steven Silas. Was here when Jalen Green was the second overall pick, and Jabari Smith Jr. A year ago getting Amon Thompson. Um, what's my man, the center's name now? I'm drawing a blank on his name too. Uh
Shingun?
Shengun, Alperen Shengun. Man, that is a fun team, man. And the moves that they made, going from Steven Silas to Ime Udoka, they've drafted well over the years. Ime Udoka's really brought in that mentality, changed the culture around doing exactly what he did in Boston. Golden State, they made the trade for Jimmy, and right now, like, am I wrong to say like this is their last leg, right? Like
This
this is like
playoff?
the last iteration of them, like last chance to at least get Curry one more.
Yeah, it's the last hoorah. I think they probably got a couple years out of this group, but like you said, I think it's probably the last iteration of the group. And I think they said that. I think I've seen Draymond say like, "Oh yeah, this is probably our last run."
It's gonna be fun, man. The storylines of Steve Kerr versus Ime, you know, he was able to get one over him in the NBA Finals right before Ime was let go by the Celtics. I think we are going to what Ime Udoka was able to do for Jalen Brown in Boston. I think we're gonna see that with Jalen Green in Houston. We've already seen this transformation of Jalen Green since Ime's gotten over there. When he got over there, he brought in his own guys, the guys he wanted. We're not running what was going on here. And guys are going to be on shorter leashes. At different points in the last two seasons, Jalen Green was riding the bench. And then Jalen Green had to show more. He had to show that he was going to pick things up on defense, take smarter shots, rely less on his athleticism. And he's been able to show that. And you got a guy like Shengun who you can run your offense through. He's great in the post, really nice pick and roll. You've got an NBA champion over there in Fred Van Vliet, an enforcer in Dylan Brooks as well. I I'm gonna pick the Houston Rockets to win this in 6 games. And I almost wanted to say 7. I just think that youth plays a factor in here. I think that we're going to really see the changing of the guard a little bit with some of these younger players, specifically Jalen Green.
Yeah, I think this is gonna. I think I've said this a lot tonight, but this matchup again is gonna come down to defense versus offense. I think uh, Houston is a young team, obviously not really battle tested yet, so we're gonna have to see how they can kind of handle the playoffs and adjust to the playoffs in a different game. And we know how battle tested the Warriors are, and most of their group is. But the Warriors score a lot more points. They get them up, but the Rockets have a really good defense, and I think they played each other maybe 2 weeks ago, and they held Steph Curry to 3 points. That doesn't happen too often. I think Steph would be motivated to kind of show because when you go on ESPN or YouTube or anything right now, all the talk is how the Rockets held them to 2 points and how Ahmed Thompson is going to be this Curry stopper and all these type of things. So I think he hears it. I think he's going to be motivated to come out there and show that this guy's not going to be a Curry stopper, I guess. So it's going to be like a defensive offensive battle, and I think the Rockets are going to have to rely on their defense. With all that being said, I'm going to take the Warriors in six. Go back. This goes back to kind of the point I was just making. If I'm the Warriors, I'd probably rather be on the road for this series. Veteran tested team. It's a younger team you're going up against. They haven't really been here. The pressure's on them to win those two games because if they lose one of these games and have to go back to Golden State down, I mean tied 1-1, and have to try to get a win in that Chase Center. I know it's not the Oracle. It's different, but to try to
It's
get a
still
win,
loud in there though.
try to get a win. If it was the Oracle, I might pick the Warriors in five. But anyway, that's not but for them to go in there and try to get a win backs against the wall, this young team uh, will be difficult. So I think the Warriors starting on the road is actually perfect for them. But I'm gonna go Warriors and six. Uh, I just think the Rockets are too young, and I think with Jimmy Butler and Curry, that they'll figure out this defense.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. Could go either way, man. Want to go all picks all the way through?
Oh, sure. Yeah, just to start before the playoffs. Well,
If we got the cat, we both got the Cavs moving on. Um, did I say Milwaukee? I think I said
uh,
Milwaukee to beat
mm,
Indiana.
yeah. So that'd
Kind of
be
regretting
Cavs
that already.
Bucks. Mhm.
Kind of
I
regretting the
mean,
Milwaukee pick.
feel free to change. Now's your time
I'm
before.
Because what is Indiana gonna do with Giannis?
Honestly, I think Indiana is trying to outscore you.
I'll stick with
So,
Milwaukee. But if I stick with Milwaukee and Dame is back, you okay. As much I just went and tried to big up the Cavs. I think I might take Milwaukee over the Cavs in the second round.
so for all the reasons I said the Heat have a chance, you're basically saying the Cavs are going to lose to the Bucks for the same reason.
The Bucks have Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard,
Right, but you,
and at that point, Dame we
but
expect Dame to
the
have
Cavs have
played.
the Cavs have this big four you just talked to me about, and
Ah,
those
no, no,
four
no, no, no,
names I
no,
was
no. I
supposed to
said
be scared
those were the big four names. I don't know if I'd say big four the way you're saying it.
of.
Those are their four guys. But
Give me the Bucks in six again. If the Bucks can get out that first round series and Dame gets his feet wet in that series, I will take the Bucks in six. Again, just not confident in that Cavs team, uh, and I'm going to be less confident in them going up against the Bucks. Uh, but you you know who the Bucks coach is,
yeah,
so
yeah. I wish Meach was here. I do wish Meach was here. Meach would have
but
already said the pay. They wouldn't even get to the Cavs. He would have picked the Pacers. He would have said the Bucks are going to go up 3-1, and then the Pacers will
you
come
probably would have
back.
picked the Pacers in four. Yeah,
Oh man,
I'm gonna go Bucks in six in that one. We got the Bucks in the conference finals.
Knicks Celtics. Man, if you're the Knicks, you've kind of got punked around a little bit by the Celtics like all year, and I mean, there was a little confidence. Like everybody, that last game that they played against the Celtics in MSG, everybody's like, oh, like we got confidence. Like you had the game, and then left Tatum open when you probably should have fouled him. For him to hit the three to send it to OT, and then it was over after that, and it just like kind of just pops the bubble right after. You got to show some heart, man. You you really got to show some heart in this series. You know, I can't pick the Knicks. As much as we talked about how this team was built to beat the Celtics, they just haven't shown it this year. And I'm gonna say something to a lot of Knicks fans that I think needs to be said because I've had some Knicks fans, for some really odd reason, still you're the third seed in the East, and you're still complaining about Carl Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges being on your team. This is the team. Like I don't know how you could still be complaining about these guys. Like you didn't. First of all, you got the better of the deal with the Timberwolves. It sucks getting rid of DiVincenzo, but for anybody that still wants to complain about losing Julius Randle, what are we talking about here? What are we doing? You got
Uh,
the better guy. The only thing that you might be able to argue with me on is maybe Julius Randle's a better rebounder than Carl Anthony Towns, but I will take Carl Anthony Towns in every other statistic compared to Julius Randle. Just the eye test. I know that I'm not that I got a guy that's gonna pass it off when he needs to, and not for nothing. You know what? If people always talk about, you got to watch the game. It can't be all stats, which I agree with. There is one stat that I will always pay attention to that tells the story of the game, and it's plus minus. Carl Anthony Towns on the Knicks, this Knicks team, has a better plus minus than Julius Randle did. And may I remind you people, the Knicks looked better last year when they lost Julius Randle during the season. That's when they went on their run. So let's cut this nonsense out. Right now, what the Knicks are going through is their own form of a rebuild. You got to go through these struggles. You have to go through these struggles, and they're learning as a team. These guys have all come together. Even the Villanova guys that they haven't played together in years. I was at that draft. My brother was still in high school. He's a college graduate now. You gotta go through these rebuilds, and at some point they'll get there. I don't believe Tibbs is the guy that'll get them to the mountaintop. But I'm not trying to hear any nonsense about trade this guy, trade that guy when they do lose to the Celtics. With that being said, give me the Celtics in 6 games. I'm gonna give the Knicks some respect. Give me the Celtics in 6 games.
yeah, I'm gonna actually take the Celtics in six too. I think the Knicks will figure some stuff out to get them 2 games. Kind of what I was saying earlier. It's hard to keep consistently just beating the same team. They figure something out eventually. I and the New York me wants to kind of maybe pick the Knicks as like a little sneaky upset, but I'm gonna because this is always how it happened. The team just beats them throughout the season, and the playoffs come, and they just somehow magically get a win. So I'm gonna stick with the Celtics, and I'll go Celtics in six. But I do think the Knicks figure something out to make it more of a competitive series than people might think that series is gonna be based off the regular season. So, uh, yeah, that's my prediction for that.
Maybe they saved their best for the playoffs. Maybe they've been hiding some things in the playbook and whatnot to get ready for this moment. Who knows?
There's a lot of footage on things you've done wrong to figure out what you can do right. So I think they'll figure something out. They're not gonna just keep getting beat like that. So I give them losing in six, but I wouldn't be surprised if they won.
I hear you. Um, I had Clippers winning the Nuggets matchup with OK, and they'll be the ones to face OKC in my bracket. It's still hell for me, K. I think I want to believe in this Clippers team. Like I just want to like if these guys are healthy, because that it's never we've the only reason why the Clippers haven't been able to do anything in the postseason is health. Their guys have never been there. So I still think if you can keep Kawhi Leonard and these guys on the floor, it's really Kawhi. If you can keep Kawhi on the floor, give me the Clippers over the Thunder in six. Six. Clippers over the Thunder in six.
I'm gonna go. I got the Nuggets, so it'll be Nuggets versus Thunder. I'm gonna actually take the Thunder in that series. I think what I was saying before, what has shown to be a recipe to kind of slow Jokic down is having one big that can guard him and another big over there that can help. We saw what the Twin Towers did last year in Minnesota. OKC can copy that formula with putting Harkenstein on Jokic, having Chet kind of on that back line as a defender, guarding the rim and stuff. So I think they'll steal some of that. And then again, the Nuggets just don't have the wing defender needed to kind of maybe keep up with Shea. So I think with them being able to maybe slow Jokic down a little bit and not being able to slow Shea down enough, I'm gonna take the Thunder. I'm gonna take the Thunder in 7.
If it is the Nuggets, I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna go Thunder in 7. That'll be a big talk for the whole MVP. Obviously, the votes will be in at that point, but that'd be a big conversation starter for the whole MVP race again too. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
If
had
it's
Rockets. My bad. Go ahead.
if it's the Clippers, I actually think that the Thunder have an easier matchup with the Clippers. Just because they're not as doesn't have a lot of guard defenders to throw at different people. Uh, I'll take the Thunder in 6.
Okay, not mad at it. Rock. I had the Rockets beating the Warriors, so you'd have Rockets Lakers.
I would
I'm gonna
have,
be
oh
on.
yeah, you would have Rockets Lakers. Yeah.
I had Rockets Lakers, but I'm gonna be honest with you. Yo, I think regardless of matchup, I think regardless of who the Lakers would have to see, I think the Lakers would win either series.
I actually
They've
agree
kind
with
of
you.
they've kind of been able to dominate the war, not dominate, but they've just had the Warriors number when they've had to face them in the postseason. Now you got Luca over there.
You know what? AD won them that series in like 2023 or whenever they last faced off. If you remember that series, AD was causing havoc. He was like blowing up the pick and roll. He was kind of blocking some of those threes. Like they had a hard time with AD like patrolling that paint. He was kind of he was blowing up everything in the paint. He was blowing up some of the pick and rolls on Steph. AD was the difference. When I think about it now, the Lakers. I want. I'm gonna probably stick with the Lakers. I would have to see. I would have to like. You ask me again in a week. Let me see how these first rounds go a little bit. I might lean Warriors, but I'm gonna lean Lakers right now. But I do think with AD out of that series, it opens up so much more for Steph. Like Steph is a different monster if AD's not in that series. And then you have Luca guard. You got Luca. You have Reeves. Like who's guarding Steph?
Yeah, yeah. That's and
And then
man, they need center help bad.
I was gonna say they don't have a center. I mean, you go small, put Bron in that lineup, just switch all those pick and rolls. You have Bron guard Steph out there. Uh, but at some point, Steph, you just and then the Warriors will go small too. So now Jimmy Butler's man is probably setting the screen. Whoever's guarding him. I mean, and then maybe you go. We're getting too much matchups. Uh,
And the way you keep
that's
talking about the matchups, you're kind of making me starting to maybe think a little differently too, though, because I
we
don't know
get
if Rui
yeah, because
Hachimura, like
I mean you can go Vanderbilt. You got Vinny Smith now,
Vanderbilt
so
could do
you
some
got
work though.
yeah, you got more the wing defenders to switch a little more to kind of blow some of it up. But now eventually it's like if Steph don't got it, you go on to Jimmy on a mismatch, and then he's gonna probably try to attack and go. Uh, I'm gonna go Lakers now, but I just remember that series a few years ago, and it's like AD was like a monster on defense that really won them that series. Uh, I'm gonna go Lakers for now. If it's the Rockets, I got the Lakers for sure. If it's the Warriors, I'm on the fence, and I got the Warriors moving on. I'm gonna pick the Lakers in 6.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think if it's the Rockets, I'll take the Lakers in 6. I want to say it's a 7-game series if it's the Golden State Warriors. You definitely kind of put me on the fence more too now, but I'll lean with Lakers regardless of who it is that they got to see. So then your conference finals matchups would be I've got Clippers versus Lakers, which LA versus LA. We've all been waiting
Yeah.
years for that.
I'm about to say we're like 5 years too late.
Right, right, right. And then Boston versus Milwaukee.
And I would have Thunder, Lakers, Boston, Milwaukee. So we might as well start in the East because we both got Boston and Milwaukee.
Is
Uh,
this Doc's redemption? Is this Doc's redemption? Because I want to say Milwaukee can.
Knock off the Celtics.
All night we've been talking about how somebody could do it. And not for nothing. It's been what 3-4 years we haven't had a repeat champion.
I'm. Oh, damn! This is actually tough. I'm going to say the Celtics win, and the Celtics are going to win based off Drew Holiday's defense on Damian Lillard. That'll be the difference maker for me in that series. Or if the Bucks win, it'll be Dame taking over that series. No matter Drew Holiday's defense. Whoever wins the Drew Holiday Dame matchup wins their team that series. I'm gonna go Boston.
This one's tough because look, man, I cannot get over the Doc Rivers aspect of this. I just can't, man. I just can't. Like we've had too many if like go back into the archives. Remember, I was a Doc defender back when he was still with the Clippers. But then there's just too much sample size of seeing him just find ways to lose games for them. You know, I like the pieces that the Bucks have, and obviously these would be two champions going against each other, so you can't say one of them has that over the other. I think I'm gonna roll with you. I completely agree with the Drew Holiday effect of it all. To me, it's kind of like what you were saying earlier about the Lakers Golden State thing. I need to see how this plays out. For me, I need to see what Dame looks like. If they're able to get past the Pacers, how does he look like in that second round series against the Cavs? And based on that, I'd have a better idea of what I think I can expect. I'm gonna go 7 games Boston though. Boston repeating to come out of the East.
Yeah, I got Boston too. So on the West,
You got
it'll be I
OKC.
said OKC Lakers. And I I
You want me to give you some
realist
time?
no,
Because I
I realistically think the Lakers probably win. But I'm going with the Thunder. I'm going with the Thunder. I think the Thunder get the series. They learn from the mistakes they made last year against Luca, and their bigs dominate the series because the Lakers' bigs are trash. Let me not say that. The Lakers are
they're not up to
struggling with their
par.
bigs.
Not up to
Uh,
par.
And I think those are the two big factors for me. They learned from what they did wrong last year. The bigs dominate the series. That makes the difference. OKC and damn, if it gets to seven, I think they're gonna lose. OKC and six.
If it's OKC, I'm picking OKC. You brought in, what was OKC's biggest weakness last year? They didn't have a big man. That's one of the things that knocked them out last year, and they brought in Hartenstein for that reason. So you take a load off of Chet in that sense on defense as well as offense a little bit too. Um, and you know what my biggest thing is, man, and I still see it. Luca's play style. Luca's an all-time great. He's gonna be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But that play style has consistently come back to bite him, and until he decides to change, we saw it with James Harden. That's been my comp with Luca for years now. They plays just like James Harden played when he was in Houston. I'm gonna dribble this out. I'm looking for my shots. If I can't get anything off, then I'm gonna hand it off, pass it off, whatever I got to do. And not for nothing, I've seen some ugly passes from him. In the last couple, like his return to Dallas, he made a lot of bad decisions, and I think that's the Lakers' biggest downfall to me. So I would go OKC in that series too, even if it's the Clippers, which is my pick. I'd pick the Clippers to get to their first NBA Finals. Regardless, it will for me. It's not going to be the Lakers, but it's okay if it's the OKC matchup. I'm gonna take OKC in 6 games, and if it's the Clippers, 7.
All right, so then that brings us to the NBA Finals, which mine would be OKC Boston. And I was gonna go OKC, but I'm gonna go Boston. And I'm gonna go Boston for the ripple effects that it will cause after OKC loses. Boston will win in 5 or 6. This summer, KD comes on home, goes back to the Thunder, plays out the rest of his career. Maybe we get a chip or two, hang that jersey up in the rafters, and he goes out the way he should. So the Thunder will lose this one to win in the future. History repeating itself, kind of like what happened with Golden State. You would have to lose now to win in the future. KD comes back home. They've been talking shit about him since he's been on the road. It's a heartfelt moment. He plays out his career, rides off into the sunset, put that jersey up in the rafters, and we all have a good night.
KD is probably a Nick by the time the summer's over.
Don't be wishing bad on my man.
Like why? If I'm saying Presti, why? Like I already have the new. I'm not saying he's the next KD, but the prototypical like Chet, same body style, he can score, and like what you got to trade, you got to give up to get
Oh,
KD. So
Harkenstein is gone. His $30 million
you
a
think
year is out of
Hartenstein is the only thing that
No,
I know? You guys got all those picks, but
Harkenstein, a couple picks. You gotta have to throw some contract fillers in there. I think you gotta get to another 15 million or something.
you gotta give an incentive player up though. Hartenstein is like isn't the sweetener
No,
in the deal.
I mean the Suns don't have no leverage. KD has 1 year left on his contract. He's getting older. You should be lucky that we're giving you picks for him. And then you kind of have to trade him this summer. So like the Suns
I
don't
mean,
really
that's
have too
done.
much leverage. The Suns don't really have too much leverage. You're gonna take Arkansas. You're gonna get these picks back because your team's probably gonna be bad in the next couple of years, and we'll give you. I really don't want to give up Isaiah Joe or Aaron Wiggins, but we'll maybe give you one of them, and you can take Caruso too because makes like 9 million. So you got to take Caruso off our hands. So we'll give you some help, and they're not trying to go into a full rebuild. So you get Caruso and Harkenstein. You get some picks. You're getting pieces that help you. You get veteran guys that help you still win now. So, uh, I, and maybe we'll give you one young player. Honestly, they can take Kayson Wallace. As much as I love Kayson Wallace, what a nice name he has. But he was someone who's probably wasn't going to be on this team long. He was a point guard coming in. He's obviously adapted his position to kind of play alongside other people. But he's one of those players who like got drafted to a spot where like if he were somewhere else, he'll probably be he's one of those Kentucky guards that come out. You know how the Kentucky guards look. They don't maybe look as they don't put up the same numbers, but then they get in the league and they start playing really well. He's someone
You got a
who's
short thing every time you get a Kentucky guard.
yeah, so he's been able to adapt and shout out to him. But I think when you look at him, it's like, oh, it's one of those like, oh, he needs his own team. Not that he's gonna be like a superstar to lead his own team, but as like a point guard, it's time for him to move on so he can grow his game. He's limited here where he's at to like a defender, catch and shoot. He's someone who can go somewhere else and has the potential to be one of those Kentucky guards. So we might have to come off Case and Wallace, which is maybe a little tough blow. But you'll take Caruso, Hartenstein, Case and Wallace, a couple picks, and that should be more than the fucking Suns need. Because you get a point guard, I don't think they have one right now. You get a
They don't.
center, I also don't think you have one right now, and you get a defender, which I also don't think you really. I mean, you have a couple, but you get a veteran defender to come off your bench and then you get some picks back, and you should be lucky to get that stuff. and that's probably the best they can find out there.
Well, that's some real wishful thinking from you, Kay.
I already called,
Um,
bro. I'm not supposed to leak this information, but me and bro already talked about it.
um, if it's OKC versus Boston, I am with you. I am going to pick the Boston Celtics. I still think youth is just going to play a challenge in the finals for them, similar to. Don't beat me up on this because you get mad every time I bring it up. But similar to 2012, when the OK3 went and played the Miami Heat Big
Oh,
Three,
and
they were
David
just a little
Stern.
too young. Oh my God,
When,
here we go again. Uh,
we're not even gonna, because that's gonna. You know what?
right,
At
right.
work, I've been rewatching the 2012 finals because we have the tapes. Uh,
Trophy look good, don't it?
you guys have heard the rumors about David Stern. I'm just gonna leave it at that. You don't believe me?
Okay.
Just go on YouTube, type in 2012 NBA Finals, and just put the letter R at the end of it. A whole bunch of things are gonna pop up. Just click on the first one. They'll explain everything to you. Uh, yeah.
If it's Clippers versus Celtics, give me the Clippers.
Mm.
Man, what a crazy story that would be. But yeah,
James Harden gets his first ring. Kawhi gets another ring in LA, and they take down the mighty Boston Celtics. That would be a crazy run. And with all that being said, if there's anyone I think can pull it off, I think it would be Kawhi. Obviously, maybe Braun and Steph again, but like that's kind of like the Raptors run in 2019.
hmm
That's a typical Kawhi thing to do, I would say.
would Celtics fans still yell out "Beat LA" if they knew it was the Clippers and not the Lakers that they were seeing?
Yes,
That wouldn't
yes.
hit the same though.
Uh, for the people on the outside, no. For the people on the inside, yes. Because like, what are you gonna change it to? Because you need something.
I don't. I mean, they just usually don't yell it. It's not like they played Golden State and were like beat Oakland.
Yeah, but the opportunity is just right there to do it, so you kind of they'll probably take it.
Mm, Man, I can't wait for them Kawhi conversations to start back up again if he's able to pull that off. I don't know. Kawhi winning one from the Clippers would be bigger than Braun winning one in Cleveland.
Kawhi, that I don't know. The talks around that would be ridiculous because I can see
There's
he
so much
he
that goes into that. It's the
if
little
he
bro team.
yeah, and honestly, just what he's been through, I can see some people saying, "Hey, take this one and retire," because people were calling for him to retire a few years ago. Take this one and just go out on top. But then there's also the conversation starting about like he's a top 5 player again. So the conversation will be an up and down roller coaster type of thing. So I just seeing how people react to that uh would be crazy. It might be one of those things where like them winning it in 2019 kind of reset the NBA. Think about that summer. KD goes to Brooklyn, Kawhi and them go to LA. It's a lot of, so it could be one of those again.
Yeah, it could. Because imagine Kawhi retires. How many
Well,
years James Harden got on his contract?
I don't think he'll
I don't think
retire.
he would either, but I'm just giving you a hypothetical. Like if he were to, like how many years is on James Harden's contract? Are you sticking around? Nah, the Clippers
I
still gotta compete though.
I think he'll if that is the case, I think Harden will stick around because like at that point you have your ring, you've done everything you needed to. You're just living out the rest of your career in LA at home at the crib. Obviously you want to win, but it's not as urgent. Honestly, I don't think he'll play out the rest of his career there.
If Harden got a ring, where does that put him in the top five shooting guards of all time? Because I got him in my top five, but my top three is solidified.
it depends on where you have him right now, because some people have him ahead of Wade already.
Not
It
me.
it might depend on if you consider AI a shooting guard. Uh, it gets tricky because there's a lot of like things, and also Draymond Green tried to make a point the other day that Harden's a point guard. He shouldn't even be in the shooting guard category. So that's like a whole nother discussion. But I think for just off the top, it depends on where you have him at right now. Because if you have him ahead of Wade, that would make him two on your list probably already. And he
Nah,
probably
yeah,
does. He probably doesn't
for
move.
me. It's Mike, Kobe, Wade,
Oh snap! I don't know why I wasn't
Harden.
thinking about. Okay, sorry, Michael Jordan. I don't know why I wasn't. Mike really slipped my damn mind. Uh,
It's late.
it's Mike, Kobe. Yeah, so he would either be three or four, depending on where you have him now. And if he wins one and you already have him three, he's not jumping that. Uh, so really, he can maybe jump one spot if you want to put him over Wade, or you start putting him over all the other shooting guards who don't have a ring. So if you have AI ahead of him now, he might jump AI. So it all depends on where the person has them listed now. I think, which is kind of crazy because in the last couple of weeks, him and the Wade thing have came up again. I think that makes him versus Wade conversation a little more interesting if you add a ring for him in there, because that's kind of what everyone's using to knock him at the moment.
I just feel like people forget how good Wade was. Like that '06 championship was the to this day, it's the closest thing we've seen to a shooting guard look like Michael Jordan. Anybody, forget
Well,
position.
when you can rewrite history, uh, things start to get a little foggy. Uh, what's Rich Paul went on the air the other day and said
Yeah,
Miami didn't have a
come on.
breakthrough.
First of all, we're not even talking about that. Do you really agree with that?
No, I don't. But that's what I'm saying. You can start to when as history goes on, things start to get a little foggy. So when people look back at Wade's career, it's kind of looked at now as like, oh, you were a number two to LeBron. It's kind of what his career is looked at. That '06 title is a lot further back than those 2012 titles. So that looks a lot more foggy already. People don't really bring those up. It's kind of like, hey, you were a number two to LeBron. And some people think he wasn't as good as LeBron at the time, which is kind of just not false, but you kind of had to live through it to kind of, I mean, which is kind of just not true. You kind of just had to live through it at the time to really understand what was happening there. Because the numbers are going to be the numbers because obviously he had to take a backseat.
It wasn't just that he took the back seat though. Like his knees. First of all, like if the Heat do pull it off in 2011 against the Mavericks, D
He's
Wade
the,
is the Finals MVP.
that is true. But that's what I'm
Um,
saying. History starts to look a little foggy uh, once you get a little further out. It's like a
but even
car. Once
people,
you start looking in the rearview mirror and you get further away from things, start to look a little smaller and smaller. That Benz, I don't know, starts to look like a Honda when you get a little further.
I hear you. I hear you. I don't know. I ain't forget it. I ain't forget it. I know his knees started going. His knees started going on him, and I think, like I said, the '06 finals, closest thing we've seen to Michael Jordan. Y'all want to bring up Shaq? Go look at Shaq's numbers in those finals. They were kind of pedestrian, but I digress. Kay, anything else you got for him before we get out of here?
Nah, uh, we'll come back to this video and like I said, as the rounds progress, and we'll see which rounds we write about before we any playoff games started, and we start to change our minds once the ball gets rolling.
For sure, for sure. And we'll definitely have some more coverage for y'all in some different ways as the ball does start getting rolling. But thank you guys for tuning in, man. This was fun. Our first nightcap, rundown nightcap. Chat was a little live tonight. It was a little nice.
Yeah,
Couple people in and out.
yeah. Let us know if you like the nightcap. Maybe we can pull it off some other times, especially with some of these late playoff games.
For sure, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. And Rich, Kay, we will see you guys next time. Peace.